Hello, this is Bunting, and today we will be exploring sound design and arrangement in the style of Killsmith. Let's go. Alright, hope you liked that little loop, because in just a moment I'm going to go sound by sound, show you how I sound design it, as well as how I worked it into the arrangement, right? Before I do that, I ask that you please like the video if you enjoy the content. That shows your support and it really helps me out, as well as subscribing and hitting the bell so you get notified of any new uploads, any new informative content from me, ya boy. Also, if you have any suggestions for a future video, an artist or whatever, leave that in the comments as well. I do read them and cover them like I am in this very video, right? That's crazy. But if you have any questions as well, also leave those in the comments. Yeah. But first things first, it's not a banger without a beat, as I like to say. That's pretty catchy, right? But for the drums, right, 84 BPM is what I chose, but this halftime kind of Killsmithy style, right, 80 to 90 BPM is where a lot of the stuff sits. So feel it out, do what you want, lay down some fat kicks and snares, right? Now for Killsmith, his kicks, well, yeah, are huge, as you probably know if you listen to him. But his snares have this kind of acoustic flavor, which is super unique, right? But drum bus helps for kind of getting this punchiness, right? But if you're looking for some fat kicks and snares, right? Look no further than your boy Bunting, right? Because I have a whole site full of banger samples. This is from the Waves pack, right? But everything is 40% off just for tonight and tomorrow because I am trying to move out soon, right? So if you're looking for some banger samples as well as a way to support me, ya boy, yeah, look no further. Link is in the description as well, buntingmusic.com. But one more thing, if you want the presets I made in this video as well as the project file, you can support me on Patreon for both of those as well as some extra goodies. And I really appreciate your support as always. Yeah, back to the content. Thanks for sitting through that, right? Plenty of free stuff on the website as well. Free samples, yeah, whatever. But back to the drums, right? Fat drums, okay. I didn't do a whole lot of processing because the drums are already super processed. Get a groove, get your head bobbing. Hats are pretty simple. I just kept it straight because you don't need anything crazy with the hats. Unless you really want, just feel it out, But I did end up having this lead and this kind of tambourine going. This tambourine's cool. I just got some tambourine samples, I searched it up, and just kind of chopped it into a nice groove, right? This lead here, it's just a little percussion sample. I looked up percussion in my samples, just go to Reddit and download a bunch of samples. And this frequency shifter, I'm able to pitch it around, right? And I put on another one so I can automate the pitch down, plus some reverb. Okay, drums aside, I'm getting right into the bass because I don't want to waste any more of your precious time. How do you get a wub this fat, you might be wondering? Well, the first thing to know is there's a lot of Ableton post-processing. But without that, a lot of Killsmith sound, it comes from this basis, right? It's almost like the basis of everything, all sound, right? It's a sine wave, okay? And it's actually two sine waves, right? So you might be asking, okay, this is a sine wave, basic shapes. What is this, right? This is another sine wave, but it's in the harmonic series. Basically, the harmonic series is just a sequence of sine waves that go up in a pattern that will always sound good, right? Really, like, you can't go wrong with slapping a random point in this, but if you really want to get specific, just tune it to that. Otherwise, you would just have to take a normal sine wave and pitch it around, which is harder and kind of inaccurate. So pick a nice harmonic, right? And if you want a wub set harmonic, you just get an auto filter, right? So this auto filter, the frequency is just opening and closing quite quickly. Make sure you have this enabled so you can draw it in, click it, and yeah, go crazy with it. You can make it wub higher or lower, but this low wub got that really clean and deep sound, right? And this is pretty fat already, just those two sine waves going. But to make it fatter, I added these two saturators, right? Now I put these saturators on sinoid fold, right? Because the square was sounding more kind of boxy to me, as well as the other settings. The sinoid fold gives you a lot of clean harmonics, which are good if you don't want to really like add a lot of distorted sound, just some fatness, right? And I just tweaked the drive and bass up a little bit for those. Now for some kind of high fidelity flavor, right, whatever that means. I feel like a bit of chorus. I think I hear that on some of Killsmith's sound, and for me it just makes it sound super professional. I don't know why that is, it just sounds clean to me. And for this chorus, I just dragged in the Ableton default chorus, right, just from here, and turn up the dry wet, turn down the dry wet, and up the feedback for a slight kind of ring out, but it's barely noticeable, honestly. Keep it off, right? But if you're using chorus or any weird phasey effects, make sure you mono your sub and have a dedicated sub, or else it can mess with it in a bad way, and we don't like that, okay? But next thing, OTT, right? OTT is great for just bringing the sound out a little more, but as you can tell, it can introduce some kind of noisy harmonics, or artifacts, I should say, right? So to fix that, one thing I like to do is turn up the time. Already it makes it cleaner. Turning down the time would make it dirtier, if you're into that, right? But I'm into the clean for now, and turning down this amount to have less on the sound, right? Yeah. And that's really the sound, you know, not super complicated. Ignore that EQ8, right? But a lot of Killsmith sound have this basis. You know, it's a harmonic kind of bass, right? Just 2 sine waves most of the time, with a bit of processing, right? Especially filters, and slamming with OTTs, right? And you'll see this pattern throughout as I continue throughout this tutorial. And as you see, this second wub right here is just a variation. It's literally the same processing, right? And the only difference is I went in Vital and changed the position of the harmonic wavetable, right? I just turned it up from like there to there or whatever. But that goes to show, you know, slight variations can add a lot of interest, right? And not only can you twist the knob there, you can twist the knob on all the saturators, change the mode, have crazy time, add a shit ton of OTTs, you know, just go off with it, you know. But that's just showing you all the variations you can do quite simply. Next sound, fellas. Okay, so backtracking a bit to this kind of squelchy neuro-y bass, right? And if you go in Vital, boy oh boy, you're not going to be surprised, because I actually didn't use Vital and I messed up, right? But as you see, this is literally the same as the harmonic wavetable, right? The chorus up to 9 would just be the same as turning up the harmonic up to 9, right? And operator's nice because all these chorus knobs automatically snap to a harmonic, just like that harmonic wavetable would. But beyond that, I literally duplicated the same thing, right? The same processing with these saturators. I decided to keep this auto filter at a lower frequency, keep the OTT, chorus, another OTT, right? Just because if I turn some stuff off, right, the more OTTs and saturators you have, the beefier sound you get. Now here's something new to look at, right? And that is this notch filter, right? So any kind of neuro-y, like insanely complex, squelchy, watery, whatever the freak is happening kind of bass, it's going to be a notch filter. So for an auto filter, just click this little notch. You can turn up the resonance to make it less or more and sweep it around town, right? So as you see, there's already very slight variations in the sound if you just move it like that. But if you sweep it over time, you see it has this clean, sweeping, kind of watery effect. And once you stack these, right, you can have one kind of automation, right? Slam another OTT on top and add another. I think I have another. Yep, another up here. And you could just get some really insane complex results. Really just stacking different filters, especially low pass and notch, plus a bunch of OTTs and slight saturation is the majority of this sound as far as I could get it, right? But as you see, I did not skimp with the OTTs just because really, like, in a sense, they're almost cleaner than a saturator in the harmonics they bring out. And I thought that was really solid for the type of like super clean sound that Killsmith has, right? So this auto filter right here, it's just opening up, which gives it that sound, right? So once you get some crazy sound design and gnarliness, right, I always reel it in at the end. Well, not always, but with an auto filter, right? And with an auto filter, messing with the frequency, you're able to control like the complete direction of the sound. That's like more of a fill, that direction, but this is, it's a wub, now it's a pluck, and really the possibilities are endless. You know, so many variations on this, all reeled in with a low pass. So our next sound is another neuro-y fill sound, right? Same processing, you know. Again, I decided to keep this low pass filter here just so I have that rich harmonic low end, but without all the squelchy high end. Pretty similar processing, basically just with different kind of notch positions. I didn't even automate the notch actually in one spot, and then I went in Vital and changed the harmonic position, right? As you see, you're detecting a pattern here, I hope. But one thing I want to note is that for whatever reason, OTT is weird, and over time it gets more intense. You notice how that time was less intense, less gritty than the first. That's because OTT is weird. And to fix that, I basically put notes before on 0 volume so that OTT has time to like warm up. Who the freak knows, but that's my weird workaround for OTT being inconsistent. On to the next after I freeze it, yeah. Okay, so this next thing here, this pluck, right? So in addition to the wubs and crazy neuros, which make up Killsmith's sound, you'll hear fat plucks, right? And I covered a bit of a pluck earlier, right? So same processing, right? That goes to show how far you can get with just similar stuff, right? Definitely a lot of OTTs, right? To a comedic amount, right? But you see, just an auto filter going down is all you need to get that plucky character, right? Added a bit more saturation at the end. And one thing you hear, if you hear a really hissy, noisy bass, get hiss, right? Erosion is a super easy way to add a hiss to the high end. I decided to turn down the amount because it was a bit excessive. And if you want to customize it beyond a preset, you can change the frequency it's at. You can make it mono, stereo, even this weird distortion mode, which you can mess with if you're about that life. But yeah, that's a pluck for you. And I decided to even make it a fill at the end here, just with this rising thing. But yeah, I probably changed the harmonic too on Vital, but you get the idea at this point, I hope. Okay, our last little bass in our arrangement, besides the one I'm going to show you afterwards, is this incredibly neuro bass. Now the first thing to note is within Vital, I did one extra thing, right? And it's probably the least crazy thing you can do in terms of sound design, right? Even though it goes hard, and that's a pitch bend. Okay, Jesus, too much is going on for my CPU. But yeah, I put the bend up to 4. This affects how far your pitch wheel bends stepwise, right? And then I automated the pitch wheel down, right? Because pitch bends sound nice, and they sound even nicer when they're on a gnarly neuro bass, right? Basically the same processing, right? Took the harmonics, beefed it up a bit, reeled it back into that harmonic. OTT, chorus for stereo and polish, more OTT, saturator for beef, crazy neuro at the beginning, crazy notch filter, more OTT, this thing doing a big movement, this thing, right? But really, step by step, I'm going to show you what happens, right, as you can probably copy all this stuff, right? But as you see, right, without it, it sounds like that, right? But once you put the OTTs, it turns that clean filter movement into something a little dirtier, right? Plus this notch, giving it all that gnarliness. More OTT to kind of round it out. More gnarliness. And one thing to note, phasers are really nice if you kind of want to hone in that mid low end. I love to put on a phaser and put it around like the 100 to 200 hertz range. Yeah, low feedback as well. And another OTT and another auto filter, right? At some point you can bounce this to audio, right? But I chose not to because I'm a menace, right? But yeah, this auto filter at the end, it kind of cuts out all those gritty artifacts as well as gives it one more layer of movement, right? And as you see, those artifacts kind of work in favor of the sound design, especially when you reel it in with the auto filter, right? Because they can only come out at certain times, and it sounds sick and amazing, right? Actually healthy for you. It's non-GMO, I think, right? Whatever that means. But yeah, go crazy with it. I'm gonna actually make a little bass here from scratch so I can show you just how it builds up. Okay, so we're in Vital on this patch, right? And right away we're gonna get a sine wave because sine waves can make anything ever, right? And sine waves are fine and you can get interesting results with them, but I find the result is a lot cleaner and more interesting when you get this harmonic series. You pick a harmonic. Okay, so I think that's an interesting harmonic to choose, right? And then how about I just add a bit of pitch bend. Let me just turn this up just to kind of imitate what I just made before, right? Okay, so such a banger bass, right? You could use that if you want, if you're a minimalist, right? But we're not about that life. The life we are about is that beef. So to get some beef, how about I get a saturator, right? And get the sinoid fold. Let's just have two of them and kind of turn this one down. It kind of interferes with our original harmonic, but if you look at an EQ, right, it introduces more harmonics in that kind of lower-ish end, which can be desirable for what we're going for, right? But an easy way to cut out those higher harmonics is just a low pass. Yeah, just a low pass. And right away, we can just add some movement. Right. And once we added a bit of movement, right, it sounds super suppressed right now, super held back, right? OTTs and saturators are great ways to keep that movement, but add some more just richness to the sound, right? We can add a few, turn the amount down, do whatever we want. And now that the sound's been brought out a bit more, how about just an auto filter on notch? And you see we're already getting a bit of that gnarly movement with that notch filter. Let's automate the frequency. I think I need a bit of saturation, maybe around here. And I think something I might want to do, turn the amount down so there's a bit less artifacts. And actually, I'm just going to take that and kind of leave it in one place in favor of more movement later. Okay, it sounds like a huge mess, but that's okay because literally anything is possible, right? I'm embarrassing myself in front of the live audience. Add a bit of chorus to it, right? And trust me, this will work. Especially with that chorus. Makes everything better. Let's add one more notch and then slam a bit of OTT on there at the end, and you'll see. And it'll all work out. One more auto filter to reel it in. That's what we really need, because when the artifacts get too messy, an auto filter saves everything. Okay. One more auto filter, right? After a bit more OTT. Get rid of that, get out of my way. So as you see, yeah, that's basically it. That took way too long to do, right? But you get the, you can add any kind of movement you want. You can add another notch. You can add another anything you ever want, because the possibilities are endless, right? And one more thing, right? You sometimes hear sustained basses in Killsmith stuff, right? And for that, basically the same processing, except not so many filters moving around, okay? That's that. All right. Hope you enjoy that little crazy sound design sesh at the end. Got to fix the stash as usual, right? But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the frick people say, right? Check out the website. That is 40% off just for tonight and tomorrow, I believe. And then, yeah, Patreon as well. You know the deal. Also, if you're still here, there is a Discord where you can chat with homies just like me, just like you. bass producers, people ready to learn and share knowledge, right? Just check all the links in the description. There's a ton of stuff to get into in that regard. But yeah, that's all I can think to say. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. You mean the world. I love doing this for you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Bye.